Okay, welcome to the Decomposition Stakeholders Weekly Stand-Up, Wednesday, April 27th. And I'll get started with the critical item status updates. So the big one is the phase 4 rollout with the database saturation issue seen recently. Matt, Smiley, Raphael, and Dylan have been collaborating on a plan to move forward with the rollout. And so just a quick summary, I linked to a pretty comprehensive summary of kind of what's been going on and what some of the proposed next steps are for continuing with the rollout while still keeping an eye on the pool sizes and saturation. So, so the current proposal is for today to decrease the web API non-CI pool PG bouncers back to 40, increase the CI pool for both Sidekick and web API, and then in the next days reevaluate saturation, connection wait times, and transaction time metrics, and assess the pool sizes. And then if things look healthy, roll out to 100%, and then resize the pools proportionally to keep the max amount of 303 connections. Any questions, comments on that plan? Okay, and then just an update on the test environment. So yeah, it looks like Nathan made some progress there in creating the monitoring stack, and they're continuing to debug. I did see that he was pulled away to an incident having to do with something with the Petroni CI clusters. Yeah, is there anything to add there?
Same update that he just shared from DBLA sync that we just had right now. The focus was to continue on this, but just helping out with the incident, and as soon as they figure out what's happening there, we'll be reverting back to this.
Sounds good, thank you. Yeah, and I went ahead and just took the liberty ahead of the stand-up to update the due date on that to next Wednesday. So I think it could be done before that, but
yes, potentially yes.
Yeah, but it'll at least give us a check-in point for the next stand-up. Yep, and then just this discussion came up in the sharding team sync earlier that Fabian and Camille and Dylan had. There was just some discussion of maybe what we could do for testing in the meantime if we're still waiting on the database layer and then the application layer to finish being hooked up on top of that with this 50K testing environment. And so there was a discussion of whether it could be possible to try to do more of a happy path test run on staging, testing the failover and rollback, which is I think essentially phase 5. So this would of course happen after phase 4 is complete, but it would maybe give us the ability to kind of test that main switch over in the meantime. So I just wanted to put that out there. The next steps that came out of that conversation from Fabian, and I'll just verbalize for him since he's not here, were to define a possible failover testing plan for the current staging environment with the idea of testing as much as possible without the testing environment. So I think that in practice would look like not necessarily simulating these different disaster scenarios, like we would still save that for the 50K testing environment, but at least we would try to do the main failover and rollback on staging. So defining a plan for that, getting that reviewed and approved, because we know that there could be a lot of potential conflicts with that, knowing that the 15.0 release is coming up and we don't necessarily want to be blocking deploys or anything like that. And then the second step is just writing down the downtime approach for the execution plan, which is in Camille's, which is assigned to Camille right now. Any questions, thoughts on those steps? Okay. Yeah, I think we'll definitely provide you an update, because I think that's something we'll certainly want infrastructure's sign off and review on once that plan is proposed. And then yeah, just I had a note here in the template about just updates on the DBOS upgrade timing and making sure we check in on that. Is there anything we need to discuss there?
Nothing new.
Nothing new, yes. We'll keep, it's good to have it there so that we keep checking, but nothing new for now.
Thank you. And then just one more thing I am adding now that I remember to bring up. Just wanted to see if it would be possible to get Raphael's continued collaboration after phase 4. Just had really good feedback about the collaboration between him and Dylan, and given how up to speed he is on this project, I think there'll be more stuff after phase 4, especially as we potentially test the failover on staging and create the plan for that. Just want to see your thoughts on just.
I'm happy to do that, Steve. My only check would be like, I don't think we have any OKRs coming up that's going to change DBRE focus from OS upgrade and decomposition. So correct me if I'm wrong.
I did no. I like going through the. I think the focus would be those things from an OKR standpoint, because I think the items we would have would be around critical upgrades, which basically Postgres and OS upgrades are within there. And then the other one that we have a specific shared OKR in Q2 is the completion of the CI decomposition project. But that's, I mean, Nick, as you know, that's taking us to phase 4. But then I'm wondering, Dave and Ken, if we most of our conversation around change for establishing and identifying like stable counterpart relationships is kind of, most of that has been with other teams, but I wonder if
this is a good place to, we're already basically doing it. Yeah. Yeah. I can edit my OKR this quarter and just kind of wrap it up and say, like, we've already learned some things by what Dylan and Rafa have been doing. So yeah, no, I'm willing to think about that a little more.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Nick, it's been working well from what I hear. So let's keep, this is important, as important as the OS upgrade. So let's keep a good thing going.
Yeah. I mean, the us kind of, designating and, just making that change in the, in the small table that we have in the handbook to note that, our DB squad as, is a counterpart for the, the database team. It's kind of just stating what we're already doing, right? So maybe we should just do that. So
Okay.
but yeah, we can chat about that. And
yeah, we can chat about that. I think that makes sense. And I think the only other thing I'd want to echo, making sure, because I missed the beginning of the meeting, is that given the incident with PG Bouncer and Sidekick and stuff like that, I'd conveyed to Rafa, like, this is my expectation of why we're doing the phased rollout. Like, I hope nobody else feels negative repercussions on that, like for what you're echoing to Dylan too, of we're going through the standard incident process and this is totally normal. So hopefully that got conveyed to other places too. I'm just making sure I say it to this group of, I've been communicating, like, don't be too hard on yourself for this. This is exactly why we're doing a phased rollout. It's a heck of a lot better than a huge downtime. So
Yeah, 100% agreed. Thanks for highlighting that. And I think, yeah, it's I totally agree that it can be framed as a positive thing, and just given that that we were able to kind of resolve these things and the impact was more minimal than if we would have done it all at once is a good thing to make sure to communicate. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, and that's I guess just trying to echo that, the iterative approach sometimes is a step forward and a step backward, but now we've got good steps forward again. So I'm actually, going back to your point of that ask, like, that's why I'm happy to see that collaboration between Matt and Raphael and Dylan. Like, that's what should be happening. So that's going like it should.
Definitely really great points. Thank you. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for yeah, your support there. And it sounds like maybe there's a little more discussion to be had offline about kind of solidifying that counterpart relationship, but I'm glad it seems like there's general agreement that we can keep that collaboration going. So thank you. Any other items to discuss today?
I'm gonna go ahead and play ignorant for a minute. Is everybody clear what's going on with the incident with 6914 with the Patroni ZFS CI nodes and stuff there? Because now that I've had the moment to think about it kind of after the prior stand-up, I'm unclear on what all these clusters are and what that incident is about. So I just wanted to make sure, it's an S3, Steve, so I don't think it'll make it to the stand-up, but
Yeah,
and for my ignorance of, I knew we had the CI cluster, but I don't know what the ZFS CI cluster is.
From my understanding, engaging with this one was, I think it's the same kind of cluster, but trying to use the ZFS nodes to see if it improves in terms of performance, because there's belief that ZFS nodes perform much better compared to the other normal node, if I can call them that way. And so there was always an effort to try and migrate to the ZFS nodes for the better performance. And that was the result of creating that cluster in using the ZFS nodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps me know a little more in the context on that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I had similar questions. So if I'm understanding that, so we're not actually using, so there's actually no, I guess, reads going to that right now, like production reads. It's provisioned, but
provisioned and trying to replicate data to it. But
yes,
I got it. Honest, like this is the second ZFS cluster that's having replication problems. My faith is wavered. It may be faster in performance, but reliability seems to be pretty abysmal.
Yeah, and I agree there, because there have always been some concerns. I think there have been conversations about us moving to ZFS nodes, and for that same reason, I think maybe these issues right now, and using them is giving us feedback or sort of answers to what do we need to consider before moving probably everything else on the ZFS nodes. I do know that this is a project really close to Jerry and Jose for sure. So something worth also just having a conversation with them and understanding how that is going.
Yeah, well, and what I remember from the idea of ZFS a long time ago is if we do get things running on ZFS, things like snapshots will be a heck of a lot faster and easier than relying on Google's underlying disk snapshot technology. So that was one of the big pros, like these things like the data team snapshots. If the production nodes are running ZFS, getting a ZFS snapshot to another node for the data team would be a lot easier for things like their purposes, and similar for like disaster recovery purposes. We'd have better point in time recovery. I think the train of thought was, I remember that back in the day when we were looking at it, but that helps me know. It just, this is now the second ZFS cluster we have long running replication problems with, and that is troubling to me. But the people that are the experts on it right now are out, so some of this, and it may not be an actual problem with ZFS, it's just problems in configuration as we're standing this up. So we just need to understand that more. Yeah,
I'll probably take it also as an action item, and then we can pick it up and discuss with the team in our next sync, the DBA sync. By then we should have both Jose and Jerry to give us more light into all this and be able to track that overall effort from a database standpoint.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Have a good day.
Yeah. Talk to you later.